You're welcome to the second segment on this morning on ITV. Second segment on Nationalism and You. We will be interrogating the election that just took place in Osun State last Saturday. And with me in the house to take a look at this is a former publicity secretary of ANPP, Alhaji Ibrahim Modibo. And Alhaji Ibrahim Modibo, in the characteristic of this program, I say to you, nationalism and you.
And you. Nationalism, I concur, Nigeria must move forward in a great way.
Very well. With me to my immediate right is Comrade Ene Obi, Country Director, Action Aid Nigeria, and the convener, CSO Situation Room. She is a part of the observer at that election. Madam Ene Obi, nationalism and you.
The hope for Nigeria, fellow compatriots, nationalism and you.
You're welcome to the community of nation builders.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. For God, for country, and for humanity.
Sure.
Indeed.
That is nationalism and you. Now, let me start from you, madam. You witnessed it all in Osun State. How would you rate it?
I don't know which part to rate, but I would say that we had an
Concerning
election.
democratic excellence and all democracy ought to be.
We're a long way from excellence, but the election was quite peaceful.
Okay.
You know, because prior to the election, there were issues of, threats here and there. You know, there were some flashpoints. And so the huge network of stakeholders before the election and the organizing by INEC itself, I would say, paid for the peace that we had during the election. Generally, the voting, people came out, early in the morning, not too much turnout, but eventually there was a huge turnout for this election. And I think what we had is more turnout than any other time, any of the elections in the past in the past 1 year. The election in Anambra, the election in Ekiti, also in looking at the FCT election, So Osun is accorded to be, again, a fair election. People came out. We had the issues of, the security. There was a huge stakeholder meeting before the election. And as customary with the Civil Society Situation Room, we had a meeting with the REC, of Osun State. And he gave a briefing of his readiness towards the election. They are prepared. They did a huge lot of, training. They took their time for about 6 weeks to train and retrain the ad hoc staff. And I think that showed with the machines and all the things that played out eventually. And he gave us a briefing and said they were ready for the election. And but one of the things that I kept hammering, because when you have people who are listening and they are also going back and forth and correcting your observations, it makes you want to be able to do more. It makes you want to be part of the process. The PVC collection at the ward level, they deployed to the ward level, but they said they were overwhelmed. And they had a lot of people, coming to collect the PVCs. But at the time we were having that briefing, that had been closed, and now back to the local government where there were huge queues, towards collection of the PVCs. So we encouraged them that maybe some of the sensitization going on must have been accountable for people wanting to collect their PVCs. And we had a spike, during after the primaries, when people saw how money was just playing out. It's like people say, I think our destiny is in our hands, because the politicians are not going to save us. The way they were playing with money around the place in a population where you have more than 100 million people living below the poverty line. And so the PVC collection that overwhelmed them, we had to then plead with them to please go back to the wards and reopen the collection of the PVCs, because that shows that
was
people
preparatory to the election.
Preparatory to the election, and so they went back and they reopened. They went back to the ward level for about 4 days, which I really commend them for doing that. And many people collected their PVCs. So we had about 1.518303, people that collected their PVCs, which was highly commendable. And when we saw the voting, more than 800,000 voted, which is unlike other elections, which account for about 42% of the registered voters. And if you want to look at the PVC collected, then you say it's more than 50%. So we had, it was so the IGP was also in person at the stakeholders meeting, which was conducted by the INEC chairman. And he brought together so many stakeholders, traditional rulers, the parties, the political parties themselves, civil society organizations, and everybody was like looking in the face and committing everyone, so the Oni of Ife was there. And then we had the peace accord, which was the National Peace Commission, by General Abdul Salami, which was conducted by Kuka Foundation. And so that peace accord, but we were worried that not all the political parties signed the peace accord. I don't know if they got them, later to some of them.
Anyway, the most important thing is that the election was peaceful.
Election was peaceful, but vote buying still read its head. There was a lot of vote buying. So if you want to say generally,
we will come to that.
Yeah.
Alhaji Ibrahim Modibo, your impression of the election. We have heard from an observer point of view. Your impression of the election.
Thank you very much, High Chief Ebenezer, for inviting me to sit along with a very prominent, highly respectable civil society personality, Mrs. Ene. By way of introduction, I want to state that in his nationalistic and patriotic intervention in the process of good governance, President Muhammadu Buhari, when he came in, he had a 3-point major agenda along with 2 other bullets. One was to fight corruption, tame insecurity, and also fix the economy. Yeah. Now, the 2 bullets that are very fundamental and highly sensitive is the issue of opening the political space for mass participation in the electoral process. And also, the next one, or virtually the last, is to see to the possibilities of giving Nigeria a credible electoral process. Now, in doing so, we've seen how INEC, in its wisdom, we must commend INEC for doing a wonderful job in all these elections, starting from Edo, Anambra, Ekiti, and now Osun. It has been improving by the day. The most fundamental problem associated with the elections is only this issue of vote buying. If you look at, in the days gone by, Nigeria has been buckled under the full weight of ravenous and greedy political class that will sit under trees and just write results. And they'll just, it's just like sectoral allocation. They'll allocate, you go to this, you go to that. But the days have already gone. It is bye-bye to that era. That is why recently, if you could see, either in Delta also, a lot of PVCs were found in a kind of a sock away, thrown away, because now, then they used to collect it and just go and give people, and then they just on print.
It was in Osun.
It was in Osun? Fine. So it has, the days has gone. The introduction of the bimodal verification machines has helped in no small measure in bringing up the quality of electoral process under Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. This is a man, though I've never met him one-on-one, but I have to salute his courage, his conviction, and also a man that I think has a principle. He stands on the perpendicular or diagonal angles of principles, where he is focused well positioned to deliver with the fear of God. If you look at his utterance and everything, he has been doing very well by way of Osun State. Looking at the state, Osun is a very active, is a politically active state with a population of 4 million there or thereabout. The state has 30 local governments. It has 330 registration centers. It has 3,753 polling units. Now, looking at this computation, INEC has been able to deliver about 5,353 or thereabout. The BVAS, that is, yes, the BVAS, the bimodal verification machines. In a situation where people are more than 700 or more than 500, they will deploy 2. If they are more than 2,000, they will deploy about 3 or thereabout. So they've been able to look at the logistics critically and analyze it. Now, the election in Osun, as far as I'm concerned, based on our discussions even before entering this studio with Ms. Ene, is that it has been peaceful to a large extent, but the major fundamental issue for the purpose of emphasis is that of vote buying. And that has to do with, you know, the thinking of ordinary Nigerian or ordinary politician. But I'm happy that election is no longer a do or die affair now. There is civility. The conduct, as I've seen on television, although I've not been there, but I've seen a very organized setting during the elections. The aftermath is something that I don't know. But during the elections, I've seen that Osun has been able to do very well. And also, the peace accord has been able to help a lot in trying to bring all the political parties together to sign it with a view to allowing peace to reign and allowing the democratic process to flourish without let or hindrance. We must commend the initiators of the peace accord, the traditional rulers, and also the people. But first and foremost, or most prominently, in terms of commendation, is to President Muhammadu Buhari. We knew prior to this government how we've seen people hijacking ballot boxes, fake declaration of results, and sitting under trees to announce results. But he has now been able to allow a free-flow political process that will give us credible elections. Whether we like it or not, the interference has not been there. If not, if in the days gone by today, we would have had a very different story coming out from Osun that, look, a reigning government, a governor in power, sitting governor, losing an election. It has not been there. But now, this is to tell Nigerians that we are set for 2023 because this election is a litmus test. And the beavers are game changers. Whether we like it or not, it is a true reflection of what is happening. In the event, in areas where we've seen that they are overvoting, they've been cancelled. Because there's no how you can use the beavers and they have overvoted. So that gives credibility and also that gives the human face in the whole electoral process. So I think on this note, INEC has done very well, and I think Osun election is a pointer. It is a litmus test to 2023, and Nigerians should be ready to accept the verdict of 2023 because it's going to be a true reflection of what has happened, bearing in mind that INEC, with all this experience in Edo, Anambra, coming to Ekiti and Osun, they have been able to garner a lot of experiences that they could improve upon so as to make 2023 election a very credible and highly acceptable election in Nigeria.
In just 2 minutes, madam, apart from the question of vote buying, do you notice any other issues that you would have wanted to see corrected?
I think
concerning the election?
There were flashpoints, but the meeting with the DIG before the election itself was a pointer because we had the time to be able to engage with the security agencies. All the agencies were there, DSS, civil defense, the army, customs, immigrations, everybody was there. And I think that collaboration should continue. We need to enhance that collaboration. In case of flashpoints, they were ready for it and they knew what was happening. I think we continue to encourage collaboration. But commendations to INEC. INEC did a great job. They deployed. early deployment was one of the major things that we had been concerned about the past elections. But you will see before 7 o'clock, majority were on ground. By 8:30, by 7:30 in the morning, 95 of the polling units have been covered.
Let us stop it here. We will proceed further as we move into commercial break. They are the reason we are here. You are welcome back to Nationalism and You. We still have it in the house Alhaji Ibrahim Modibo, a scholar and political analyst, and Comrade Ene Obi, Country Director, Action Aid Nigeria, the convener CSO Situation Room. She witnessed it all in Osun State. Alhaji Modibo, taking a look at these questions of vote buying, has it permanently come to stay? Can we do anything about it?
Thank you. Despite the fact that the Nigeria police has been able to deploy over 21,000 officers, headed by a reputable DIG Johnson Kukomo, the civil defense about 11,000, the road safety about 1,500 officers with all the implements associated with their work, the DSS, the EFCC, and as Dr. Ene rightly stated, you know, the customs, immigration, there has been security, and I'm very happy with it. But what I was thinking about, having the experience of Ekiti, where the candidate of the Social Democratic Party, the former governor Segun Oni, was almost costing home. But because of allegations of vote buying from the powers that be, he has not been able to win. So I thought this time around, the security apparatuses that were sent to Osun should have mapped out strategies to checkmate vote buying. With the analysis I've been able to get earlier, they said the vote buying was minimal. But then, from the sources, from what I've been able to gather, there was silent vote buying mechanism that was employed. Some people will be using some people will be using signal, others, you know, will be talking in tongues, that after voting they go and collect something somewhere. So you see, this is a very major issue, and I think it is incumbent on the police as well as the other security agencies associated with these elections to make sure that vote buying is checkmated, because it's a major cankerworm now. We've been able to tackle head on the issue of snatching of ballot boxes, because with these beavers, you don't snatch ballot box, and you also you don't disrupt elections, because in the days gone by, some thugs can just come and snatch the ballot box, and also if they see they are not winning in a particular area, they'll go and disrupt, scatter the ballot papers and everything. This has been checkmated. The police and other security, they've done very well, but they need to do more. We are not yet there, but we've improved very well from the Ekiti elections, and I think this vote buying should be looked at dispassionately by INEC. How do we tackle it? There is a need to provide solutions, sit down, do networkings, you know, make research on how to tackle it. And one of the ways and means I think we can do that is, you see, vote buying signifies that we still have problem of the economy where people are pandering to the whims and caprices of politicians with money bags. So this thing, it has to do with a lot of sensitization. The National Orientation Agency, to me, despite the fact that it has been there for ages, and also it has a credible DG, Dr. Garba Abari, but yet the funding is not there. So the National Orientation Agency has been reduced to a toothless bulldog that could not even bark, nor could he bite a muscle. So I strongly believe there's a need to equip the National Orientation Agency to start the sensitization process. And also, I want to challenge the civil society groups in close collaboration with the National Orientation Agency to pick up the gauntlet and move into sensitization of Nigerians. And lastly, the political parties. They have a major role to play in sensitization. Because if you look at in days gone by, which I always refer to, people have always, or politicians take the liberty of either money or some other inducements to bring in people that they feel are hungry, that they can just scatter grains for them to pick and vote for them. Now, there's a need for the political parties to bring on manifestos. Because for now, I've not been seeing many. Even this Ocean election, I've not seen the vibrancy that has been associated with politics, especially in 1979 and also in 1993 during the MQ Abiola of blessed memories period of SDP. I've not seen issue-based driven politicking. Most of the times, people will go and start dancing. Like now, the new governor in Osun, he has been a wonderful dancer. His dancing mechanism, which he has imported from America, has been able to entice a lot of young people that went out to vote. Because I've not seen anything fundamental that has been able to bring on board to say as a policy or as a program of action. And I think this dancing should start stopping now. Because governance is a serious business that will not allow him to be dancing anymore in the State House.
Madam or Comrade NLB, looking at the issue of vote buying, do you think, with your experiences, having been working in the political line and participating in the electoral processes in Nigeria, do you think we have enough law in place to checkmate this vote buying, number one? Number two, a vote buying in an election, does it constitute aberration to the democratic aspiration? Number three, are there good political will in those who are implementing our laws to actually tackle this issue of vote buying? 3 in 1.
I think I'd like to, I'm happy that we're discussing this under the auspices of nationalism, this morning. And nationalism stems from patriotism. Yes. In having patriotic Nigerians. Are Nigerians patriotic? Who is patriotic? You say, arise, O compatriot. And then you go to the pledge. You say, I pledge to Nigeria, my country. Do you really mean it? I'm happy that Ibrahim, has mentioned it, has talked about the National Orientation Agency. When we were young in primary school, civic education was a very major subject. And so that is what introduces you to your rights, how to sing the national anthem and mean it from your soul. But who is singing it? The politicians, are they singing it? If you want to sing the national anthem, they put on a tape. So it doesn't connect with you. If they want to say the pledge, they put on a tape. You don't connect it to yourself. And so when you say you pledge to Nigeria, my country, and you go and do something that is inimical to the country, the senses, you're just, you can question your level of patriotism. Now, when you are talking of vote buying by who? Who is buying and selling? It's a criminal offense. I still commend the President, Muhammadu Buhari, for signing the electoral bill into law. The Electoral Act 2022, we insisted on it and we really struggled for it because we knew that it would be a game changer on the issues to give the rights, because then from the last election to this election, there were court cases that was bringing about the issue of e-transmission and even the card reader, issues. And what we said in the Electoral Act that now came up has acknowledged the fact that electronic systems can be used in elections. It has approved that. And then, so the beavers in Osun was more than, I would say, 95% in terms of performance. And the minimum, you having a minimum of 30 seconds for accreditation, which is a shock coming from where we are coming. Sure. It used to be like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and thereabout. I was in several police stations, polling units, and the performance was under 1 minute. You know, it accredited people. And where you cannot, you know, gone are the days, like he pointed out earlier, your PVC is your PVC or nothing. If you don't have your PVC, there is no way for you to come and vote. And when you come, they look at it and look at your, because in every polling unit, they have your names and the list of everybody. And so if you are not able to, with your fingerprints, then the facial. There were sometimes, you know, maybe people in the last 10 years who registered earlier, you know, had confusion, you know, so their own accreditation take a longer period. It took a longer period, you know, during the election. But in vote buying, INEC has showed consistency in terms of improvement. So when we come from one election, situation room, you know, we try to do the much that we can. Civil society, we organize the debate for the governorship election. We organized the debate again, you know, in Osun, and that brought the citizens, you know, in touch with their leaders. There was live broadcast for the debate to let them know who they are voting for and to be able to cast their votes. Now, the voting cubicles that you have has come a long way. It gives a secrecy of the ballot. It introduces the secrecy of the ballot. But the placement of the voting cubicle, where somebody can look over your shoulder, or you can flip after voting, you can flip to somebody who is waiting on the side. You know, these are human elements. If you are flipping it, the police, they are there, civil defense and all the, you know, agencies are there, and they can see something silently going on. Can it be stopped? Why can't it be stopped? Sure. The INEC officials are sitting down, you know, some of them, you know, and they are watching this going on, and you place a cubicle in front like this, and you can see where I go to thumbprint. But the other side, they're not using it. And you're wondering, what is going on here? INEC officials need to be conscious, very, very conscious of the fact that that voting must be secret. I don't know how much of we are going to have a review with the rec of Osun in a couple of days, you know, from now, because normally we do a before and after. And I did tell the DIG or police, if we can do a before, you know, we had a meeting with them, which we also had in Osun, and we commend the police for organizing that meeting between the civil society, the media, you know, can we do an after to see where we are failing? What are the issues that are coming up? And so we can do that. INEC has done a lot, but it can do more. In terms of instruction and the placement of the voting cubicles. You have the voting cubicles, but have you placed it? And then there were some places where the voting was going on was not friendly to people with disability. That's another. But what we are seeing now, generally, is that the power has gone back to the people, and I have stated this a number of times. Power has gone to the hand of the people.
Sure.
If you don't convince people before the election, there is no way you will get your votes. To get votes now, you have to convince people to be able to vote for you. But we also have to take responsibility as citizens of this country. What is your own part in the democratic process? Citizenship is a responsibility and it's an obligation. We are guided by our constitution. What is the allegiance to the constitution? You are having a population where you have the engine room, that is the young people of Nigeria. About 62% of them, more than 62%. They are the engine room, but we are not, you know, we are not investing in that human capital that is the engine room for development. And what we are seeing now, look at ASU, for example, has been on strike for more than 4 months. And everything is normal. It is not normal. If you have children at home, some people have 4 children, and all the children are in the university. They are at home now. How do you occupy the minds of these young people when they are at home for 4 months? And you are saying the issue of criminality and all that is going on, children of the poor do not have access to education, when the children of politicians are way out and they are out of the country. Nigerians are funding the educational sector in several countries of the world right now, and it is the politicians.
Quite unfortunate.
And many of them looted the economy.
Let me return to Alhaji Modibo. our great scholar and political analyst.
Thank you, Ebenezer.
Mobilizations of high level of security presence for a single state election, like 21,000 police for Osun State, or there so. Now when we are holding general elections, supposing the entire state of the federations are going into election at the same time, definitely you won't be able to have that numbers mobilized for one particular state. Yes, we have commended the peaceful nature of that election, but how peaceful is that peaceful nature with this kind of degrees of mobilization of security at a single point? Is it supposed to be so?
Well, because of the segmentation, or better still, because of the electoral process that came where one state to the other is picked on a particular date. If it were to be in a general election, do we have the manpower?
That is well.
21,000 police deployed to one state is extremely too much. If you look at the strength of the Nigerian police, it's just about 400,000. We are only having, in a year, only 10,000 policemen that are said either on paper or in reality that are added to the force. And a lot of these police people are also being killed here and there by terrorists and what have you. So there is plus and minus. So with 400,000 strength of the Nigerian police, and with top government functionaries having bodyguards and ADCs within the system, is the Nigerian police having that manpower? And I will categorically tell you no, they don't have. But they have to look at the issues dispassionately and then think outside the box to see how they'll be able to maintain peace and security during the next general elections. Because 21,000 police, 11,000 civil defense, 1,500 road safety, and other DSS, EFCC, it is just, look, it's like an invasion of a state. The security is almost everywhere, and there's also the military that I learned they were checkmating.
The DSS, all of them on the ground.
Yes, all of them on the ground, and also checkmating, people gallivanting anyhow or traveling within the state because there's restriction of movement. So that places a high burden on INEC to see the possibilities of using the police that we have under the current IG, Usman Alkali Baba, a man of strength, of character of strength, and I know he's somebody that is highly principled, and one person that I'm sure will be able to mobilize and galvanize the entire security apparatus of the Nigerian police to give the elections a credible and a very acceptable electoral process.
He came to Osun himself.
Yes, he is a very dynamic and somebody that is highly mobile. Because if you look at Osun, the way it is, Osun is not like Niger. Niger State, Osun can enter Niger about 5 or 10 times in terms of landmass.
Okay.
Because Niger State has the capacity of encompassing some West African states, some West African countries, about 4 or 5. So you can be rest assured that Osun, Niger is bigger. So for Niger, how many police are we going to expect during the elections? Are we going to have about 100,000 out of 400,000? So these are the fundamental questions. So I think what should be done is that hopefully INEC, by these experiences they've been able to gather in some of these states, will be able to sit down. And also the police or other security agencies should also be sitting down from now, henceforth, under DIG of policing and strategy, Johnson Kukuma, to sit and map out strategies and plans. Because everything has to do with intellectualism. If you sit under a very peaceful and tranquil atmosphere, map out strategies based on scientific approach, bearing in mind that these BVS, the beauty is the use of technology. This use of technology has been able to stem a lot of things. You don't snatch ballot papers. You don't drive away people because it has been fixed into machines, and also the biometric system looks at your face and know your fingerprint. So there's no how now people will go and start thumbprinting as it used to be. You sit under the comfort of your zone in your room. You thumbprint about 10,000 or 1,000 votes, and then you go and declare. Now we've seen the beauty and
those were the days we were having 24
million votes
for a president.
Yes, and you see, the beauty is, despite the fact that Osun has an overwhelming population of Muslims, the Christian ticket came on board. They did not, they were not bothered. They went and did the right choice. So I think, based on principle and also the need for change, that's why this change is very fundamental. If you know that, look, this party is not doing well, or this party, you are not comfortable with it, you change. And that is the beauty. In the last elections, the gap between the PDP and APC was just about 300,000 or 400,000 votes. I mean, yes, 30 or 40,000. Was it 300?
424, something
400,
like that.
yes, thank you, Madam comrade. Now, the gap is 28,000. So, you see, it's a landslide, or what we call a moonslide victory. So, there's nothing left for you to dispute. The people have spoken.
Exactly.
And therefore, we are looking at that election as a pointer, as a game changer, and also as a teaser towards 2023, where we are expecting the security apparatus to sit down and map out strategies for us to have a peaceful conduct. So
Nigerian demonstrated that elections and choosing a leader transcend religious consideration.
Of course, that is exactly what has happened in Osun. And also, the fact that the current governor, Adeleke, came from...
Oh, the governor-elect.
Oh, the governor-elect. Sorry, yes, the governor-elect.
They have a governor on
yes,
seat.
Came from a political family. Because, Osun, as I've said, is a very active state politically.
Very well. Let me quickly return to Madam Ene. Madam Ene, in your opinion, what can we do to culture the society to know that election is not a war, and therefore there is no need for us to be mobilizing all these security forces to a state because of there is necessity to be a security, but mobilizing outrageous presence of security presupposes that we are not sure of the peace and the rest of it.
I think I said earlier that election has gone to the hands of the people.
Oh, good.
But are they taking responsibility for it? We all have to take the responsibility.
Sure.
In changing the course of our work, in changing in deepening democracy, is going to depend on all Nigerians. It's not going to depend on INEC. INEC has the responsibility to conduct elections. Who takes responsibility? The office of citizen is the highest office in the land. Whoever you are, the citizens have the power, and this is what is showing. But when the citizens are sitting and waiting for politicians to come and bribe them or to convince them to go and vote, I think this is one of the greatest issues. And that's why I have always been also an advocate of the National Orientation Agency. When we were young, there was the megaphones, these Land Cruisers, Land Rover, vehicles that will go to every nook and corners of this country.
Sure.
To get the message of the government through, because the government wanted you to get it right. They wanted you to have all the information that you use. In the voting process that we are having right now, even to show where to what to do when you get the ballot paper, for example, they are not showing it. Is a how many minutes video which the National Orientation Agency can go to several communities and show them. And that's my approach, and also talk to even the donor communities. Everybody is focusing on INEC. INEC is not the only one. There are so many other agencies who are focusing on the police and the security agencies. They did a fantastic job here. I know a lot of things that they did, behind the scenes and all that they did. We even, as civil society organizations, we also had a lot of interaction. We paid a personal visit to the State Security Service, to DSS, in Osun State, to tell them we are here. We are watching all the agencies, and we also let them know that they are Nigerians. We need to know that even if you are in the military, if you are in the police force, you are a Nigerian. You also breathe the same air. I know, and everything else. The inflation that is happening right now, it affects every Nigerian, and that includes the security. We need to take the number one is before you are in the force, or before you become a civil society person, you are a Nigerian. And that is the highest. We need to take responsibility for this land, join hands together, refuse to be bribed, because when they bribe you, they go back and take that money from us. So what are you going to do? Let us join hands. And that's why I like the song by Sonny Aji that says, Nigeria iti gbogbo wani. That is, this Nigeria belongs to all of us. And that there is nowhere that we can go that, you know, let nowhere else. Outside is not like home.
That is the
And
spirit
so
of nationalism and you.
Yes.
Very much so.
Modibo,
Yes.
why did you think your party lost that election as an incumbent party in power in Osun State? Let me come
Are
back
you in
to that
APC?
level.
No. You see, because of the
He's in
circumstances.
APC, but he's a nationalist.
No,
Okay.
I,
No, it's okay.
I am a nationalist, but I can tell you,
He
my
has been that
party,
for a long time.
my party of favor
Yes.
today is the SDP.
Okay?
I've moved on,
Okay.
and I think the SDP has the characteristics, the wherewithal, and also
Have you decamped?
the policies. I admire it, and I did.
Okay.
So now, to go to your this thing, our major challenge, as it is today, is the challenge of intra-party crisis. You see, all these two contending parties, they were in court, especially only yesterday. The PDP resolved its own about this issue of
Primaries.
Adeleke and Duro
Primaries.
Babaimi about primaries. And also, what cost the APC the misfortune of losing that election was also intra-party crisis that had to do with the current governor, Boyega Oyetola, and the current minister of internal affairs,
Two
Rauf
political giants.
Giants.
They fought into elections.
They fought it into elections. And you can see that the current, the newly elected governor used the media to even thank Aregbesola that, look, I am thanking Aregbesola for mobilizing for me, his supporters, to win election. It's in the papers yesterday.
Wow.
It was on public domain. So you see, the parties must be able to sit down, iron out his own differences, look at the issues dispassionately, and move forward. Because these are some of the fundamentals that I've seen that is becoming a major source of problem.
Yes, we are rounding up this
But we must
segment
also
of-
say that he almost won
Yes.
the last election too. He almost won the last election. I'm
Yes.
talking of Adeleke himself.
Adeleke, yes,
He almost won. So
very-
there's so many things.
There are so many things that...
Very well, very well. It is, well, the most important thing is it is beautiful for democracy, the right of making a choice.
yes, and you know, most of the youths...
And Adeleke danced into
Yes, most
power.
of the youths went out for the dancing steps of Adeleke, which is exceptional.
And I even love the dancing.
Yes, and also Davido, his cousin, has also added value to the campaigns, because as a musician, a lot of these
So
youths...
as we are rounding up, one word of encouragement to the nation regarding our democratic march from you.
Yes,
Just 1 second.
okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
One word that I will use is Nigerians be patriotic, have nationalism in you, and go out and vote the right person to occupy 2023 presidential election for the common good of Nigeria.
Madam.
Hope for a better Nigeria. Be hopeful. Nigeria is a great country.
Be hopeful. Nigeria is a great country. Despite our shortcomings in various areas, particularly regarding our security challenges, we are marching on as a strong, viral, indivisible, and united nation, and we shall prevail. That is the message from the table of nationalism and you. It's been wonderful having both of you in the house, and we hope when we have the chance to beckon on you again, you will make yourself available to us. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Don't change the channel, because more are coming for you on the table of ITV. We are always here to entertain you, to inform you, and to keep you educated. Thank you.